Hello and welcome to Truckers World for another video. Hope everyone's doing okay out there. Not too bad myself, just come off a night shift. So I've not had too much sleep because I wanted to make the most of a Saturday. I'm not working. Thank you for all the comments coming in. Really useful, and it's really nice to have those comments coming in, and obviously all drivers interacting. That's what it's all about. One thing I will ask any drivers who might know this, I was told this the other night, anything over 13 hours I think, or 12 hours apparently is driver's discretion whether they do it or not. Now I don't know whether that's true or not. I've never heard it. I'm trying to look online, I can't really see any answers online, but if you know that to be true or not, let me know, because I think that's really it's really helpful, and if you can, quote some legal definition behind it, because that'll help as well. Okay, so today's video is about the night shift that I've done. I'm going to give you a bit of a review experience basically of what happened. So, started my shift at 5 o'clock. I have to travel 40 miles to work, and it took me an hour and a half due to Friday traffic. Wasn't nice at all, but, you know, that's what you sometimes have to do. You know, I'm not getting any offers elsewhere as a new driver, so I have to take work where I can. It gets there, and I got the keys to a Mercedes wagon, really nice wagon actually, inside. However, when I climbed in, on the passenger side, they were almost like what looked like two mudguards. You know, two plastic mudguards. What they actually were, I don't know the actual name, he did tell me and I've forgotten now, but they're kind of like the plastic parts that sit on the top of the rear tractor unit tyres. They were both off, and I obviously had to ask the question, is it legal to drive like this? Do they need to go on? Do I put them on? Am I trained enough to put them on? All these type of questions come into play, you know, when you've got a legal obligation as a lorry driver. I was told, obviously, they were taken off because of the tractor unit bumped them, dent them, damaged them a little bit, so they had to come off, and it's legal to drive them while a trailer is on, but when the trailer's off, you've got to put them back on. So he helped me put them back on. It wasn't too difficult, it was fine. They stayed on, and I didn't have a problem with them when I was swapping trailers. But there you go, just a little new problem now. I was a little bit confused, and it delayed me a fair bit, to be fair. Did my checks, had to get used to the wagon. I'll be honest with you, I was a little bit, you know, wow, this is a new wagon, where do I put the key? The key's got to be slotted in. How do I move the steering wheel up or down? I couldn't even find out how to do that the whole night. I was wondering, where the hell's the switch, the button to do that? Got the wagon basically to my requirements, mostly. And yeah, everything was fine. I was on my way, but it took me a long time, you know. And it needed refueling, so it's half an hour before I even got off, maybe more than that. Had to drive maybe, you know, half an hour with traffic to a yard, pick up an empty trailer. I had to refill there. Luckily it's dead easy to refill there, just press a button and you go, it's fine, so there's no need to stop at services. By the time I got hooked up to my trailer, because my original trailer, they text messaged the work schedule, the one that they wanted me to take wasn't there, so I had to then message them, and they told me, right, take this trailer instead of that. By the time I was hooked up, ready to go, I'd say it was about an hour, you know. So up I went. My first trip to up north to Barrow, not too far of a drive, you know, normally about an hour and 45. With heavy traffic, it took over 2 hours on this occasion. I dropped my trailer there, and I went to pick up another trailer. The trailer with the reference number, so you get a trailer number and a reference number, they didn't correspond. I was told that reference number, that had already been taken by somebody else. So I had to then phone up the office, didn't get any answer. I had to text another number until someone finally called me back. You know, it wasn't too long, maybe about 15 minutes or so. But again, a delay, and I'm thinking, what do I do now? Do I keep chasing them? It's getting, you know, it's late at night. Who's in work? I was never given kind of like these emergency numbers or someone to contact late at night. Bizarre, really. You should be given those numbers. Anyway, problem sorted out. Hooked up to the trailer, one of those extended trailers. They are longer than the normal ones. You honestly, they really are. And off I went back to the depot and to tip. Waited about maybe, I think it's about not too long, 40 minutes give or take, you know, before I was called onto a bay. Now the thing is, when you drive around to these bays in the yard, you go into and round the unit, round the warehouse, and then you have to park to the left, first of all, in the diagonal parking bay. So you're not to the right, to the left. And it can be a bit tricky for me. You know, I'm still struggling to reverse to the right. You know, so obviously when you're reversing, you can't see in that mirror. You're struggling like mad. luckily I look for the biggest space, and if I take up more than one bay, I have to. If you're looking at one bay in between two wagons, it's a real stress at the minute for me. So I've done that. When I went to reverse to the right, because there's not much room to position yourself, you almost have to do it straight and then reverse, almost like a 90-degree angle where we're at. There's not much room to get a good diagonal angle. And because the extended trailer, they've got rear wheel drive, for me as a new beginner, it's been difficult. It's been difficult. Sometimes I've got it. Other times it's taken me easily 10 attempts, forwards, backwards, steering too much, steering too little. And I think it's coming down to the fact that maybe I'm rushing too much, I need to take my time a bit more, lighter steering and not too much, because before you know it, you're going all the way that way, all this way, the old guys make it look absolutely easy, they're perfect. I'm just constantly, a little bit out there, diagonal this way, that way, But it's all good practice, hopefully, all good practice. I've only been doing it 2 weeks, so I can't be too harsh on myself. I've got to keep going. So I've got tips, everything's fine that way. Again, it takes time to tip those wagons, and health and safety there is just through the roof. Hard hat, you've got to have boots on, high vis, they won't tip you otherwise. You've got to stand back here, stand back there. Obviously, it depends on the forklift truck driver. Some of them do operate common sense rather than complete stupidity. But there you go, that's another argument. So, off I went back to Barrow, up north, and we loaded with another load. So that's another 100 hour 45, give or take up there. Not too bad of a drive, but getting that dark. The dark weather, you can't see too much in front of you. Now you reverse into the warehouse there, and it's a bit of a bigger bay, and I kind of had a lot of space to position myself forwards this time, and that's what I did. I used the whole space, tried to get myself more or less straight on reversing and a little bit of a tilt to the right, and it helped a bit, and I got in there, absolutely no problems, it was fine. So I was quite impressed with that, happy with that. Loading procedure went pretty quickly, again, happy with that. And I come back, obviously pitch black driving, that's not easy, I can tell you, definitely better and easier for me. I prefer it in the day. I prefer to see the whole wagon rather than little bits. Got back to the yard and I was just parking up again to the left, and then immediately I was called over to tip, which is good because normally in the day you're waiting for about an hour easily. So at night time or morning time, and this would have been early this morning, Saturday morning, I was called on straight away. But again, I had a bit of trouble getting on. By that time I was a little bit tired, though, to be fair, maybe a little bit rushy, but nonetheless I got there, just a bit scoot with really. Luckily the forklift truck driver was quite understanding. That's what you want. You don't want someone who's rushing you, folding his arms, and you don't want that, do you? So got on there, and again I was tipped fairly quickly, all good. So around the other side, once that was done, and we're coming up to probably almost 12 hours here now, so it's not too bad, to be fair. And then we park the wagons round the other side, go around, it's a diagonal parking to the right. I was at first going to park it up the left-hand end, where basically there was bags of room and I didn't have to worry too much about parking in between two wagons. But one of the co-drivers said, no, we can't use that park because we'll get complaints, we can only use this side. So I was forced to park in between two wagons. Now, he did offer to park it, but I said, you know what, I need to learn, so I've got to do this. And at first I did okay, but then as soon as you get in a little bit of a trouble, it's like, right, okay, go forward, but then you're putting too much on going forward, and before you know it, you're coming back and forwards, In the end I got there, it wasn't too bad, but I think just smaller movements, especially going forward as well, just smaller movements, just to get straight, and I think I would have been fine. But again, it's, it's difficult to gauge, especially in between two wagons. I think that takes a bit of experience that, otherwise you're going to be getting out. If that was me, I'd be getting out, looking around the other side at least probably 5 times. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's absolutely fine. But that kind of thing, you're going to need experience. But I'm getting it, and that's the main thing. So I dropped the tractor unit there. I'm getting used to dropping tractor units now and hooking them up and the procedures, etc. And then I drove solo back to the yard where I started. Overall, when I got back, I didn't refuel up again, so I was told not to. Only refuel once. 12-hour shift. And again, that's okay. It's not too bad, that. I can handle that. That's absolutely fine. Handling my keys in, everything's fine. And yeah, it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad. You know, I think the only thing I could change about it is, you know, if that was in the day, that'd be perfect. I prefer it in the day, but that's just me personally. Overall, not too bad. Driving these wagons, I am getting used to without a doubt. You know, I can handle them. The only thing is when you drive in the dark, especially with an extended wagon, if you have to turn any tight corners, then you've got to be careful. So there's one tight corner where to go out onto the motorway, we have to turn right. To come back off the motorway, you turn left. And in the dark, you simply can't see the rear end of your wagon. So I'm guessing, and especially with those rear end wagons, you're worried a little bit. So I'm just guessing. So I'm going as far as I can over before I turn. You know, looking a little bit. I even have to wind the passenger window down to try and see a little bit better. But yeah, I'm guessing. I think I can't really see that. Am I going to hit that metal fencing on that side? You know, obviously I haven't, and I know I haven't, but it's one of those examples where it can be quite tricky at night driving, especially an extended wagon. I think these wagons are 60 foot. Normal wagons are 57 foot. These are 60 foot. They do make a difference. But yeah, so far so good. Obviously, sometimes I like to do a little bit more. Other times, I can't due to kids and family commitments, etc. So far, it's going well with the Class 1, but the reversing is worrying me. Now, a driver told me that it takes about 3 months before it clicks, because still when I'm driving and I'm going to reverse, you know, you're still a little bit confused. Oh, right, you know, you turn right. Oh, no, it's not that way. You have to go the other way. You know, you figure it out, but I think tips that I'm picking up is obviously when you start to reverse and you turn the wheel a little bit, you know, just turn it a little bit to see what happens if you're unsure, or stop and think and take your time. Easier said than done though, let's be honest. We can all say that, yeah, take your time nice and slow, but when you're in the yard and somebody's waiting maybe behind you, one of the lorry drivers waiting to go past you or waiting to get in, you know, it's easier said than done, that, isn't it? You know, it's difficult. You see them all reversing in nice and easy, and you're there, forwards, backwards, you know. I'm pretty certain they've been there before, without a doubt, but yeah, that's the hardest part at the minute, reversing. Unfortunately, I'm getting some training. I just wish I had a full day where I could just constantly practice. And I'm hoping with the long trailers, although you're used to reversing those long trailers in the end, hopefully that will benefit me when I come to reverse the slightly smaller trailers. Hopefully that's it. Hopefully that's going to work. That's my main concern at the minute. Reversing, getting it down, getting it right. That's what I want to do. Hopefully, you know, you experienced drivers out there, please tell me it'll come, because I see all kinds of drivers and they can do it all easily, even reversing to the left into those diagonal bays. They just make it look easy. But there you go. So that's my review. Thank you for watching. Gone over a little bit on my time, but I will give you another review hopefully next week about possibly another subject. So yeah, keep watching. Thank you for all comments and keep on trucking. Cheers.